Welcome to News Today with WDW News Today. I'm Tom Corliss, here now in the news for June 1st, 2020. Disney has released a statement addressed to its employees regarding the murder of George Floyd and ongoing protests throughout the country due to the ongoing racial disparity. The letter is signed off on behalf of Bob Iger, Bob Chapek, and Latondra Newton. To read from it, resolve in a time of unrest, a message to fellow employees. The recent killing of George Floyd, as well as the other instances of lethal attacks and harassment of unarmed black citizens in our nation, continue to drive outrage and calls for action by people of all cultural backgrounds, including many of our employees. Feelings of grief and anger cause us to confront the inscrutable idea that lives of some are deemed less valuable and less worthy of dignity, care, and protection than the lives of others. While these devastating incidents are not new, there's something unique about what's happening in this moment. The pandemic, coupled with these recent injustices, have pushed the issues of racial disparity into the open. We, too, are struggling to make sense of the recent tragedies that leave us feeling overcome with sorrow. While we don't have all the answers, we resolve to use our compassion, our creative ideas, and our collective sense of humanity to ensure we are fostering a culture that acknowledges our people's feelings and their pain. We also realize that now more than ever is the time for us all to further strengthen our commitment to diversity and inclusion everywhere. We intend to focus our efforts and resources to compassionately and constructively talk about these matters openly and honestly as we seek solutions. We intend to keep the conversation going, not just today, but for as long as it takes to bring about real change. Bob Chapek, Bob Iger, and Latondra Newton. As protests continue across the United States, the Walt Disney Company has posted a statement across social media channels for the public as well. Statement reads, quote, "We stand against racism, we stand for inclusion, we stand with our fellow black employees, storytellers, creators, and the entire black community. We must unite and speak out." The statement posted early Sunday evening appeared on a number of Twitter accounts run by Disney, including Walt Disney Studios, Pixar, Marvel Entertainment, Marvel Studios, Star Wars, and Disney Channel. Disney Music Group released a different statement, which included the hashtag Black Lives Matter. We stand for inclusion, we stand against racism, we stand with the black community. We must unite to raise our voices, to honor their lives, and to amplify their stories on stage and off. Disney on Broadway released a statement that merged the phrasing of the other two, mentioning black artists, employees, audiences, and the entire black community. South Florida residents are well on track to a high-speed rail to Orlando. Brightline, soon to be known as Virgin Trains, posted a photo of the freshly laid track leading to their future station at Orlando International Airport on Tuesday. Construction has continued on the line during the COVID-19 pandemic, with adjustments made to take precautions against the virus. When complete, the route will take riders from Miami to Orlando in 3 hours. For comparison, it typically takes 4 hours to drive between the two cities. Air travel typically takes an hour, but factoring the time needed for going through security and seating, the time difference is significantly shortened. Virgin Trains, of course, signed a letter of intent with Walt Disney World in 2018 to establish a station at the resort, with engineering and design work for the station currently underway. Virgin Trains President Patrick Goddard said last year about the Orlando line, quote, "It's our expectation to get it done and to be built and to build out to Disney." Currently, Brightline operates stations in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach as well. The Orlando International Airport station is expected to open in 2022. Walt Disney World has begun issuing refunds for annual pass holders after the unprecedented park closures. Since an opening date has been established and approved by the state, Disney can move forward with extending annual passes that have been paid in full, as well as processing partial and monthly refunds for guests who have paid in full or who are on a monthly payment plan, respectively. So far, annual pass holders have reported receiving refunds for monthly payments. Refunds will be retroactively issued for payments made between March 14th and April 4th. Refunds for those paid in full will be processed at a later date. Despite having its status recently updated to closed for refurbishment on the Walt Disney World website and on My Disney Experience, it seems that Spaceship Earth may make its ascent once again at the reopening of Epcot on July 15th. According to the Unite Here Local 362 Union, which represents attraction workers throughout Walt Disney World, Spaceship Earth's refurbishment has been pushed back. The information was revealed during a web conference and subsequently posted on a WDW Magic forum earlier today. The attraction is set to reopen with the rest of the park. The reimagining was set to begin on May 26, despite a $900 million decrease in CapEx spending on the parks due to postponed or canceled projects. We first announced the closure back in October of 2018 and still expect the closure to last 2 to 2.5 years whenever it does happen, including the building of a new exit for the attraction, as well as a new name that was revealed at the 2019 D23 Expo, Spaceship Earth, Our Shared Story. As with all the changes overtaking the park, this reimagining promises to make the attraction, in Bob Chapek's words, more Disney, more family, more timeless, and more relevant. With Epcot at Walt Disney World reopening on Wednesday, July 15th, the park has a little over a month to staff its numerous pavilions. The World Showcase in particular may be faced with a number of issues as the Cultural Representative Program, along with Disney internships, was suspended on April 18th. Between that and the current global travel restrictions, it may be difficult to staff these international pavilions, and a new union agreement could mean that we'll be seeing cast members taking over the positions of cultural representatives temporarily. A recently signed memorandum of understanding between Walt Disney World and the Unite Here Local 362 indicates that until Disney is able to resume normal staffing, cast members who do not meet the cultural authentic theming of Epcot may be temporarily assigned to work in positions which are otherwise reserved for cultural representatives. Once those representatives are able to travel from their home countries once again, they'll be reinstated throughout Epcot's World Showcase. In the meantime, it's good to hear that Disney, in conjunction with the unions, is working to staff cast members as soon as possible, albeit in slightly different positions than before, after the unprecedented company-wide furloughs. With the rerouting of the road entrance to Disney's Hollywood Studios during the park's makeover, it was announced in May of 2018 that the iconic film strip archway that served as the car entrance from World Drive would be demolished. The film strip was torn down quite a while ago, then the park's name removed from the arch, leaving just the arch while traffic was rerouted. In March of 2020, demolition of the actual overpass began, and demolition progressed quickly, removing the arch itself and leaving just the bases. But since the closure of Walt Disney World, it has been difficult to check on the project, but when we drove past in the last week, we almost didn't recognize the area. The structure has been completely cleared away, and the topography has been changed, making the ramps around and through the arch and the arch itself into a hill. Grass has been laid onto the front, causing the lighter green color. Construction vehicles are still present as they finish work on the edge of the space, but the transformation is pretty jarring, as you can see. Disneyland Resort has announced they will only begin accepting reservations for travel dates starting July 15, 2020 and later. Previously, guests were only allowed to book starting July 1st or later. At this time, no reopening date has been announced for the Disneyland Resort. According to communications by a third-party food vendor at Disneyland Paris, the Parisian Resort is gearing up for a July 11, 2020 reopening, the same day as the Walt Disney World theme parks will return to service. The communications indicate that some cast members will return to work on June 3rd, with a larger contingent coming back on June 20th, all in preparation for a July 11th reopening of the Disney theme parks in Europe. Disneyland Paris has been closed since mid-March 2020 due to the pandemic, closing the same weekend as the Disneyland Resort and the Walt Disney World Resort in the United States. Disney has yet to make any official statement on the reopening, and the above information should be taken as unofficial until they choose to do so. While the COVID-19 situation has improved in Japan, we aren't out of the woods just yet, it might seem. The state of emergency was lifted across Japan last week, but it seems the Tokyo Disney Resort still isn't ready to reopen just yet. In a rather vague statement on the official TDR website, the Oriental Land Company stated, quote, "Although the government's state of emergency declaration regarding the coronavirus has been lifted, Tokyo Disneyland and Tokyo Disney Sea will remain temporarily closed. The reopening of the parks will be determined when external and internal conditions have been readied, including the phased easing of closure requests from the government and the local municipalities, as well as preparations for park operations. The reopening date will be announced once it has been decided." The opening of the vast new Fantasyland expansion is now still set for an unknown date to be determined after the parks do open. The closure still applies to both Tokyo Disneyland and Disney Sea, but the Ikspiri shopping mall did reopen today after several months of closure. The Disney Resort line is scheduled to continue limited operations, and the Disney Resort hotels at Tokyo Disney Resort are closed and have been since April 1st. Shanghai Disneyland became the first of the Disney parks to reopen following the pandemic back on May 11th. Debuting new protocols on ticketing and reservations, which have potentially been paving the way for the rest of the parks to follow suit. When the park first reopened, new measures were implemented to help control and limit capacity levels. Therefore, guests were only given the option to purchase specific day tickets, and annual pass holders were required to apply for a reservation into the park each day. Today, after 3 weeks of this procedure, Shanghai Disneyland has announced the option for guests with general admission tickets to also apply for a reservation as well. This reservation-only system is a must for park admission, so it's encouraging to see that the option has been extended to guests holding tickets without specific dates attached. With Disney Springs reopened, we're starting to see new merchandise once again arrive daily at the Walt Disney World Resort. Among the new items we found this weekend were a Disney Princess Loungefly backpack, a Minnie Mouse autographed Loungefly backpack, cute new Pandora charms featuring Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Marie from the Aristocats, Patch from 101 Dalmatians, Stitch and Nemo, and some new socks featuring Miko and Flit from Disney's Pocahontas. Popcorn fans will be excited to see a new phone case filled with the artificial snack Not usually artificial. It's artificial in the phone case. There's also an entirely new houseware collection called Mousewares, including Mickey and Minnie Mouse aprons and trivets, Mad Tea Party salt and pepper shakers. And for fans of Mickey Mouse balloons, there's also a bright red toothpick holder and plates. See the entire collection, more pictures, and to get the pricing on all of this new merchandise, you can visit our website. For more information on these stories and more, head on over to WDWNT.com. If you're enjoying the show, be sure to like this video, subscribe to WDW News Today on YouTube for more great content, and click the bell for notifications. Of course, also make sure to hit select all notifications so you never miss an episode of News Today with WDW News Today. You may notice we've cleared the desk. Obviously, WDWNT Live is over, but we're beginning a whole new era here at WDWNT, and part of that is the coverage of Universal Orlando, which also this week is celebrating its 30th anniversary. There's the vintage logo for you. And in celebration of that, we are launching an entire new division of the company, Universal Parks News Today, covering all of the Universal parks and resorts around the world. It is officially launching as of right now. You can go see it currently. It's on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, and we're going to begin content right away. In fact, we're going to be staying at Universal Orlando all week long as they reopen, giving you hotel reviews, showing you what's going on inside the park and more. Basically the same daily coverage you see from us for the Disney parks around the world, we will now offer for the Universal ones as well. So we hope you'll join us on this exciting new venture, something new, expanding our horizons, and it's good to do something different, right? So everything you expect from our Disney coverage now also with Universal. So make sure you follow us for all that stuff if so inclined. But if you only like Disney, well, we'll still be doing that just as much as we are now. Don't worry. For the worldwide leader in Disney Parks news, this is Tom Corliss saying enjoy the rest of your today and have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. Stay safe, everybody.
Let's jump into this studio stuff.
Very, very bizarre job I had, trying to explain to my wife sometimes when I came home while I was doing at work.
And only had 6 months to prepare.
That's like the same as now.